YouTube is a place to broadcast yourself, but sometimes that self isn't real. By that I mean some people want to share their stories and happen to be animated. However, the person I'm going to talk about today is a bit different, as instead of focusing on the quarrels of being a relatable high school story, and that one time I was awkward at a certain event, Meyers decides to rant about teen dramas on TV. A seemingly harmless channel, but if it truly was, I wouldn't be talking about it here. Is his presence really disrupting the animation ecosystem? Or is it just some guy who's way into the CW? Well, join me on this adventure of tags to riches, as this is the tale of Meyers, content pioneer, or whatever I end up calling this topic. But what you shouldn't miss out later on is this deal from Skillshare, and this video is sponsored by Skillshare. Skillshare is a fantastic online learning community for over 25,000 classes in business, design, drawing, and more. Wow. And in relation to the topic of this video, Simon Van Boy is teaching a class called The Writer's Toolbook, 6 Steps to a Successful Writing Habit. And with a name like that, he must know a few words.
I mean, I've written several books. I still just quake with fear.
And another person with a few words is Ashley C. Ford. And her class is all about creative personal writing. Write the real you. Which is a good thing if you want to become a storyteller, animated or otherwise.
In any case, our memories are special because they don't stay in the past. We carry them with us.
And the first 500 people, especially the audience right now, not previously now, but now, gets 2 snapping months of Skillshare Premium when you use this link. And with an annual subscription of less than $10 a month, it's the most affordable service in its class. However, I wouldn't class Meyers as an animation channel. Well, at the start at least.
So it's no secret that I mainly talk about teen dramas and teen rom-coms and Disney Channel whatevers. Because, when it comes to shows and movies made for teenage girls, there's no one more qualified to comment on them than a 30-year-old man.
Despite currently being considered an animation channel, Alex actually started with a slew of videos. A lot of his early content was a mishmash of whatever he felt like posting, and luckily after contacting him I got to understand why. After moving to Japan for personal reasons and getting a job as a bilingual Japanese IT tech person, he wanted to do more. He read an article in 2014 to 2015 about how YouTubers made a lot of money, so he wanted to do that too. Not really for the money, but more so because he wanted to be his own boss/company. A true American who's living in Japan. So the first thing you want to do is learn how to edit as well. That's probably something you should learn if you want to make content. So to answer why he has so many early random videos on his channel, it's because he was just learning. He got success with videos here and there, but he didn't find his calling until he found James and Jaden's channels in his recommended feed. Purchasing a drawing tablet and working with this new trend, you can see the influence of his attempts at making animated story times as well as the many tags he used in his videos to confuse the algorithm to make his videos appear alongside other channels. I suppose it's fine to add tags similar to videos like yours, but the morality is iffy, as you want to be seen by the algorithm, but not put too many tags unrelated to your video. Now Alex stopped doing this recently and I'm glad he did. Moving on, his content is a lot less like what I usually talk about, as by technically he's not really considered animation, due to him mostly using still images in Premiere and After Effects. However, I found his upbringing on the platform, as well as his current content fascinating, as this leads implications to the future of John/animated content on the platform.
Hi, I've never seen you before. I'm Jessica. I like jelly beans.
Animated storytime channels aren't going away anytime soon, as they only recently started to gain momentum. In fact, in 2017, 2018 YouTube Rewind, you actually get to see a couple of them in the video thing, which is mainly due to their marketability and mostly family-friendly content. But with every trend, we get riders of the coattail variety. Recently, Logan Paul started his own animated storytime series, and even Maurice Bennett trying his hand at the same subject matter. In my opiniony belief, the trend of storytime animators will slowly die down in a few years, which goes into my next hypothesis, or my first one. Audiences will eventually get bored with the same story format, and possibly will gravitate to something less real. As instead of real people using their characters to become icons, the characters will become the icons themselves. Current examples of this would be Andrea Turbaya and Alex Meyers himself. They're deviations of the storytime community as they use animated avatars, but they don't really tell stories. However, a better example that I should have said before is Amy Yamamoto. As with her channel, it's basically a person vlogging, and they just happen to be animated. And on the same line of defense of Team Football is AI Channel, but unlike Amy Yamamoto, this one can go live. Stream. And a more terrifying example of live streaming gone wrong is AI Angel, which I personally wouldn't recommend watching as the character freaks me out and sort of reminds me of something from Second Life and IMVU.
It's like sinking in.
Yeah,
It's
just
like, damn.
However, with these examples, I'm not necessarily saying that the future is entirely 3D and for live streams only, as Get Mads is a good current example of a 2D rig that mostly focuses on pre-recorded content, using a fun program called Adobe Character Animator. Ooh.
There's one thing I've realized playing multiplayer games, and it's that I am nowhere near as good at games as other people. Losing is heavily involved somehow.
Lastly, the most common thing to compare all these channels to is King of the Hill, as the show technically didn't need to be animated, but without that gimmick, I can't say how far it would have gotten.
Yep. 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 Mm-hmm.
I wanted this video to focus on the idea of Alex's channel rather than the content itself. I mean, the guy just rants about teen dramas. And if I were to rant about him, it would just be me yelling at a screen while he yells at a screen too. However, production-wise, there are a few things I would like to note. Firstly, I believe his line quality is bad due to uneven line weight. Secondly, the main character design is a bit bland, and it's a bit reminiscent of a certain popular animated figure, whoever that may be. And lastly, the shading is completely off due to the undetermined shape of the character, as well as the light source provided. But I mean, since I got in contact with Alex, I already told him these things.
Yeah, he might have said a thing or two about it.
But moving on, let's go over some positive things about his videos. His videos have pretty good comedic timing and energy, which is mainly due to his many years of practicing editing. And I'm confident to say that he knows how to use limited frames to his advantage. And on the technical side of things, he's actually using a really nice microphone, the Shure SM7B. Now, despite it being used by many YouTubers, I can't say it's for everyone, as it all depends on what content you're going to produce, your vocal cords, and however much money you actually want to spend, and at the very least how much you should spend. But in this case, I think the Shure SM7B works for Alex, mainly due to his videos feeling less like a review and more of a guy in a podcast who's ranting about a TV show that he watched last week, which is pretty funny to think about if you keep it in mind.
What
those gosh darn young people and their snap streaking and fun having. I don't like it. Like, seriously now, is this kid 18 or 80?
Regardless, I'm glad that he doesn't use a Blue Yeti. Overall, Alex makes pretty good content, and if you've liked the clips that you've seen so far, you'll love the rest of his channel. Of course, that's not saying his content is perfect, but whose is? Most certainly not Riverdale's, of course.
Hey, you watch Riverdale, right? What's that show about? Duh, Lord of the Flies gang chases Jughead through the woods with spears.
And speaking of rivers, I think my stop is coming up, and I must mosey on to the next video topic. But in the meantime, you can follow me on Twitter, you can come over to Pufferfish and I's Discord, you can buy something from my Redbubble store, or you can just donate directly at my Ko-Fi. Whatever's the case, thank you for watching, and have a good